Did you know that Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy has a remix version? Well, it does. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yikes. It really warmed my heart when one of my BFFs sent me a Bitmoji text on my B-Day. Modern times, man.
Serious question, though. What do street cleaning trucks actually do?
Nothing. Dude, taking out the trash bins each week is the worst.
The worst. Have such a good day. Well, hello world, and welcome to
Having such a good day.
Having one, as Heather and I clearly are.
Yes, we are. Always.
Shortly before we started the show, I realized, and this is a few days old, so it's a little bit my bad as well, that my dog chewed through two like major power cables that power the lights that we usually use to illuminate our beautiful faces for the video version of the show. So we're just using my overhead lights tonight. Hope you like them.
So it's not our fault. It's Otis's fault.
He's
in the doghouse.
He's in the doghouse, which is his crate, which he actually knows how to get out of. So, you know, there's a bit of a power struggle happening in my home.
No pun intended.
Actually, no. I'm a poet and I didn't even know it. But yeah, so it's been quite a week. However, what we hope is that if you've had quite a week, you're happy to be part of our little show here, because what we do is try to cover funny, interesting, infuriating, and all of those sorts of things about life and the internet and all of the weird news that we're absorbing each week, and make a little sense out of it.
Try to find the humor in
it. Together, try to find some humor in the stuff that isn't even really all that funny.
Totally.
And put a smile on each other's faces, because man, do I need one.
I know, man. Well, hopefully after the show, you will be feeling 100% better.
Already do. Glad to be here.
It's going through those cold opens that sort of cheer us up, I think.
Sure, and no one knows what that means.
No.
We're TV people. Yeah, Heather and I are, we're so happy to be on episode 23.
We are. I mean, it's a little bit of a random number.
It's the Jordan Show.
The Jordan Show?
Michael Jordan's number was 23.
Oh, got it. See, not a sports person.
It's okay. It's fine. I know. As I threw it out, I was like, she's going to look at me like, what's that mean?
Well, you know, I relate to 23 because I also turned a year older this past week, and we're not going to talk about what age I turned.
Don't matter.
But it's one of those random numbers.
Age ain't nothing but a number.
It's very true. But you know, when it's like a random number, when it's like, this is sort of like
just a whatever.
Yeah. It's, 23 is a good hint to where I'm at age wise, but
is it?
Just kidding. Maybe 33. Yeah. Anyway,
palindrome birthdays, very important. Man, I'm coming up on one as well. Well, I mean, it'll
happen again.
We'll get there eventually. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, you'll blink your eyes and it'll be October again.
It's funny. I find myself. And this is no dig against anybody who is younger or older, but I when you're so kind of caught up in your own little life and what's good and bad, and it's all very important because it's yours.
Yeah.
And someone would be like, well, wait till you turn 60.
That happens to me all the time.
Or someone younger will be sort of like, life is hard. And I'm like, are you even kidding me? You're 29. No, you might as well be an infant. and both of those things are unfair.
Yeah.
Like that kind of like ageism in either way. I really try not to do that, but it is hard not to feel sort of slighted when you're like not wise enough to be part of the conversation, or you're the person who's like, you're not wise enough to be part of my conversation, you little baby.
No, it works both ways. Totally.
Yeah.
I wanted to pitch out our bonus topic.
Please do.
I wanted to mention the one that won today, we're not going to do because we're actually going to talk a little bit about this in the show itself. This one is, do you say yes too often when you mean no, and why? And I know that you struggle with this, and we're going to unpack it a little bit coming up. But the one we're going to talk about at the end of the show, for all of you $5 and above patrons, is what 3 books were life-changing for you. Ooh. So stay tuned for that.
Ooh, 3 books. Okay, so yes, and for anybody who might be joining us for the first time, real quick, we are completely community supported, and the platform that we use is patreon.com, patreon.com/have such a good day. That's where Heather and I
we live. That's where we live.
We do. And one of the perks that we offer to anybody who gives us $5 or more per month, which we hope is a nice, solid, fair number, we give them a little bit more show. So that's our bonus topic that we'll be getting to a little bit later in the show. But for now, let's get into how this week has been.
Yeah, I
think I alluded a little bit to the fact that I've had a bit of a trying one.
I've heard a little bit about it, but I would like you to tell the world. Let's discuss this.
Tell the world. So I will spare you some of the more
gruesome details.
The gruesome details. Heather and I both are freelancers, as many of you are that have written into us and given us feedback and are in our Discord, and I know that we share some of the struggles with a lot of folks. In particular, I'm starting to find that the sort of chaos of being a freelancer is overwhelming to me sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm okay. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, how does anybody do this by themselves? Without a partner or an assistant, or just like, I don't know, and I'm also just, whatever. I tend to not be the best person as far as organization goes.
It can be very isolating too.
Well, I think
that can be problematic.
I think working from home is, and I've talked about this with so many folks many of them podcasters as well, or, people who are, I don't know, they're artists or, designers or, creative types, or for whatever reason, they have the comfort of working from home. And I am so happy to have that, because you get up in the morning, you make coffee, you do your thing.
It can be really
My
good.
office is this table. It's like, it's very freeing, but at the same time, sometimes I'm like, I need to get out into the world.
It's kind of like anything. Like, there's just no perfect thing at all in the world, so there's always going to be this evil side,
Right.
But it's funny, I try to at least go to a cafe for part of a day every week, but the problem with that is that I'll get up and you have this routine where I make my coffee, I sit in my little sunny spot, and I like it, and I get kind of attached to it, and then it's like 1 o'clock and I'm like getting antsy, and I'm like, oh, I should have gone to the cafe. I'm still in my, my running pants or whatever. And, I think sometimes I feel like I have to get up and shower right away. Get ready, put a little makeup on.
If I don't right away, it derails from there. Because then you're sort of like, you're pretending it's a Saturday, but it's like, you have shit to do.
I know. And then I'm like, it'll be after lunch. I'll make dinner, I'll make breakfast, lunch, and then dinner at home, and I haven't left the house, and it's a spiral.
Well, on that topic, because Heather and I, as all of you know, anybody who's familiar with the show, if you're new, welcome. Please listen to our back catalog to learn all about our lives. But
back catalog.
Heather and I both recently moved to the same neighborhood, but from different neighborhoods. We both lived in different parts of Los Angeles, and we're kind of getting to know the whole deal. And I particularly because I work from home a lot, it's like I've been really trying to make an effort to meet new people, have new routines, and do stuff that's not just work based.
Yeah.
Because if I don't do that, I'm gonna sit at home all day, every day, 7 days a week.
And wither.
Because there's always something to do. Well, I'll just be working. Yeah. When people say like, oh, it's Friday, what are you doing? I'm like, ha ha, that's funny. I'll be up at 6 a.m. tomorrow on Saturday, and I will work like it was Monday. And I want to, hopefully have a little bit more fun than that. So when you meet people, especially when you're a single person, And sometimes there's the, not expectation, but the potential hope that you might find this person to be the most wonderful person in the world. You know, there's so much kind of like build up and expectation and some pressure and some disappointment.
Sure.
If it's kind of just not this like fantasy that you were, you know, that you
that's-
built up
yeah.
for 15 minutes before you met them. I'm speaking generally. I certainly don't want anyone to think that I'm speaking about anyone specifically, but I do think that there is something to be said about, you know, meeting somebody where you think like, okay, well, you know what? You're not going to be my next husband, but I think you're really cool, and I'm glad I met you, and you weren't in my entire, you know, my world spun without ever knowing that you existed before, but you're cool, and you have a place here, and that's cool too.
Totally.
You know, it doesn't always have to be like this one thing that you want.
You put a lot of pressure that is sort of unnecessary, and it leads to expectations and then disappointment. I know that I do that to myself because I'm kind of a romantic, and I'll have, you know, this sort of, I'll have like I'll fast forward the movie and like have this fantasy in my head, and then it's like, it's not like it at all. Like it's completely different. Yeah. But I love the reflections with like a new person because, you know, it's so great to have your friends and your people who you have history with. You know, that's just, they're so valuable. But when you meet someone new and it's exciting because you're just getting to know each other. You don't know about either person's flaws or, you know, so there's an excitement level, you know, and a lot of people don't meet new people as they get older. Right. I think that it gets harder and harder to meet people, and friends, and lovers. Yeah, I think especially because, and I mean, I know you share this, or at least have over the years. It's like I have friends who are married with children, you know, and they'll say like, Sarah, like, how's everything going? How's the dating life? Yeah. You know, it's like that's the number one thing. Like, is that going well? Because if not, you're a loser. Pretty much. No one says that. Yeah. But sometimes you kind of feel like, oh, that's the thing that, like, if you have, like, something good to say about that specifically, then, like, everyone's happy for you. Otherwise, they're like, oh, we'll hang in there, little kid. Yeah, and, I mean, sometimes things happen to people and they lose everything. They lose their lover, their friend, their job. And everything's, you know, everything goes tits up, as they say. Dude, what does that mean? Like you're like tits up? Yeah, it's like you're floating ship. Dead in the water. Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. It's a great expression. Yeah, well, I haven't heard it before. Oh, you haven't? Oh, I thought you would. I thought that you'd probably used it before. Tits up, you being the wordsmith that you are. Sounds a little different to me. It's such a good visual because you imagine someone bobbing like, you know. Okay, got it. You're dead. You know, maybe you're dead and floating. I wonder if I learned that from osmosis watching the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel because the script in that show is very funny in that way. Like they use a lot of really funny expressions. That's one of those shows that, you know, is a critic's fave. I'm telling you, and I don't like it. I know how you feel about it, but I will give it another try because I haven't given it a fair shot. I want you to. It took me like 3 episodes to get into it. So you haven't watched the first season? I've watched about half of the first season. I almost like the second season better. Well, there you go. Sometimes so shows will grow on you a little bit, and I don't know. Who even knows why I didn't like it. It's so funny. It's very amusing, very entertaining. But anyway, I didn't cut you off. Weird week. Yeah. No, it's fine. I'm done. I just you know, it's keep on keeping on, everybody. Keep on trucking. Yeah. How about you, Heather? How's your week been? You know, it's been a little better, I think, because I came off of kind of a fun birthday weekend, which included you in every last hour of festivities. Hey, man. She was like a serious, like, road warrior this weekend. I mean, she was out and about with me. It was fun. Insisted on birthday fun around the clock, and I was very, very grateful. We had a lot of fun. It was good. Yeah. And so I think it eased up on the pressure of the week because my birthday was on a Monday and I had like kind of a nice, chill, you know, not stressful day. And so it kind of set the tone for the week. But I mean, you know, I've got a lot on my plate. So there's, you know, a lot has happened this week. You know, it's funny today, you know, speaking of one of those days where you're stuck at home and you're like, you start getting so anxious because you're still in your home pants and the sun has been out. Like today was a beautiful day. It was like 75 degrees. It was actually quite warm. It was gorgeous. It was warm. I was overdressed on my way to
get soup. I was like, it's like
Me too.
75 degrees outside. Why am I wearing a jacket?
I've been wearing this jacket. So my, I guess it's my stepmom, Nina, who I think she listens. I don't know if she listens like to every episode, but she is a $10 patron. She gave me this wonderful, you're going to be so jealous. You're going to want to covet this thing. She got me this really soft, like fleecy, black zip up like coat thing that you wear at home. It's like a sweatshirt and it like comes up pretty high so you can like, and I wear it in my house and I'm telling you, it's just the most amazing thing ever.
It's just decadent.
Oh, it's so decadent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I've been wearing that and you know, it was a little warm today, but my point being is I was like, I'm going for a walk. I wanted to go for a run, but I thought, you know what, I'll go for a walk. And I went on this lovely little tour that I had never explored this one area of our neighborhood. And I came across this, they were doing a music video shoot. And it was just cool. I mean, just to stumble upon this thing. And I sat there watching for a while. They had about like 10 old kind of low rider, but like super cherry cars that were like bouncing, you know, they were doing the whole hydraulics and it was just,
I am familiar.
You know, see, if you don't leave the house, you don't get to see stuff like that. So, spontaneous walks whenever possible. I highly recommend, that's my advice to you, because you just never know who you might meet or what you might run into.
I think it
was kind of magical.
I think that's very true. I've actually become,
You're quite the walker.
I'm quite the walker, as you know. And I know everybody in the neighborhood because I talk to everybody. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. More people should do stuff like that, which is really funny because I definitely got that from my dad. But it used to embarrass me so much when I was a kid because my dad would be like, you know, like in the grocery line, he'd be like, "How you doing today?" You know, because I'm old and in the way.
Oh, my dad I'd be like, "Oh my gosh," or like at a restaurant, I'd be like, You're he says to like the waiter, like, "You're a great cook" or something, and it's like just the most hokey thing you can say, and I say it.
Yeah.
I notice myself saying it. It's like a knee-jerk reaction.
You know what's so funny? Restaurants specifically, like I realize where I'm like, dad jokes, Sarah, dad jokes.
Yeah.
Where like someone will be like, "Are you all done with that?" And it's like a salad that I've completely decimated, and I'm like, hated every minute of it.
I know, I see the same
You know, and I'm
thing.
like, why are you doing
and
that?
And it comes out without you even knowing it.
You know, and everyone laughs, but it's so hokey.
Oh, it's the worst. It's so corny.
It's so corny.
Ugh.
Oh, we're just getting old.
I know, seriously.
We're all obviously very young and supple.
Supple for sure.
But old in the jokes category. Speaking of old, I wanted to talk a little bit, and you alluded to this earlier in the show, the whole idea of not being able to say no. Mm-hmm. Now, I've always sort of been a people pleaser, even though I'm also very difficult, so I'm like a really bad people pleaser. But I always want to say, if someone needs something, I want to be like, I am capable of that. Yes, I will. Like, I will.
Like no hesitation.
I will be the hero. I will do this. I will fix this for you. You know, all of that stuff. And it's become problematic sometimes, especially, you know, when you're talking about work. Mm-hmm. Because you take on things where you're like, I can do that. I can physically do it. I'm capable of doing it. But you run out of time.
Sure.
And then people are sort of like, hey, what's up? And you're like, oh, man.
And then you feel worse because you've disappointed
people. You feel
people.
worse. You disappointed people. Yeah. And then it turns into something where then you want to, like, make good so that people don't think that you're a flake. And it's an issue. Now, one of the things that I have a hard time saying no to is social events. Mm-hmm. And you might say, well, you know, what a terrible problem that you have, Sarah. You know, going to social events must be so hard for you. Yeah, poor you. But my extrovertedness has shrunk.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Over time. And I like to be extroverted, and then I really like to not be. And it's a balance that has to work for me. So there was a New York Times article that was, it was actually published a couple of weeks ago, but kind of made the rounds because it has a lot of holiday season stuff involved. And I thought that it was apropos to our conversation, and it was all of the ways that you can get out of social obligations.
I've read this actually.
Yeah, so it's like, it's the Christmas party. Yeah. Christmas party on Saturday. I say to you, Heather, are you coming to my Christmas party? And you're like, yeah, sure. And then you have to figure out later, because for whatever reason, you're not going to go. And you know you're not going to go. Why aren't you going to go? What are your excuses?
Yeah.
And it goes through, and I'll go through these quickly. Number one, be honest. I really need a night in.
Easy enough?
Easy enough. Fine. Great. Someone might be a little hurt by it, or they might totally understand. Number two, be vague.
I like this one.
That sounds so fun, but I'm working on stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
Now, I do this a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not a lie, but I don't need to get into the details of what I'm working on. I just want you to know I'm so busy, I cannot come. I'm so busy, and I'm being vague about it. Number three, just ghost. Yeah, I'll be there. And just don't go. Now that I don't recommend, unless you're really in a bad way.
Yeah.
It depends on the friend, right? If it's a good friend, you don't want to do that. But it's just something that we've probably all done. Number four, just lie. I should go to the doctor. I think I'm sick.
These are great.
Right. Okay, now we're getting a little, now you gotta lie on your
conscience.
On your conscience, exactly. Number five, make it their problem. I have a lot of stuff to do and I'm kind of freaking out. And then, do you have a moment to talk?
Oh, okay.
And then it turns into like, you're having a party on Saturday, but like, I'm freaking out and like, now I need you. And you'll be like, please don't even come. Oh my God. Just, get some rest, right? Okay. Number six, panic and mania. I can't right now. I can't go to your party, okay? Please leave me alone.
You don't have to come.
Okay, exactly. See? Right. Now you're getting it. Yeah. And so on. And the article actually has been
very relatable.
Weirdly controversial because, of course, there are certain excuses that you're like, no, that is super fucked up. Like, if somebody did that, like, that's super, like, if that's why they're doing it, just to, like, get out of saying that they're not going to come to, like, a social event, like, grow a pair, right? But I am guilty of all of these things at one point or another because it's hard to say no.
It is. I think that what I do with my week, I have this thing, it's not even so organized, but it's like on the top of my brain, I'm always like, okay, I prefer to be home Mondays and Tuesdays and Sunday nights because then I like to watch my shows and stuff. But I make exceptions. Wednesday, we usually shoot the show, and that usually bleeds into the evening. Thursday, I like to go out. I like to have a date or I like to go out. Friday, I like to be home. Saturday, I like to go out. I like to have like something cool going on. And obviously stuff during the day too, like go do something on Saturday. And there's total exceptions to all these rules. But if I have that in my mind where I know that I'm going to have at least like 2 nights a week that I know that I'm going to be home making dinner and relaxing and being introverted, then I feel like I don't get worked up into a frenzy because I know that, tomorrow I'm going to have my night that I can just take it down a notch. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that might be a good way for you to do it is map out your week a little bit, and carve out your own time.
Yeah.
I have to do that or I'll be saying yes to too many social things and I'll be exhausted and I'll get myself sick and all that.
Ironically, it's like one of the excuses that we just ran through is like, I'm getting sick. I have gotten sick twice in the last, month. I lost my voice at one point. You probably heard it on a previous episode.
You never get sick.
I have,
from what I recall.
I am, if there's anything, like, lots of things wrong with me, but if there's one thing that's good about me, it's my immune system. I don't get sick. I'm very healthy. Always have been. And I got sick a couple times within a month, like to the point where I was like, something's wrong here. Like this is an overextending thing that like really needs to be remedied. Yeah. And I think that a lot of people sort of say like, oh yeah, maybe your face is broken out. Oh, it's stress. Oh, you can't sleep. Oh, it's stress. And it's like, well, we all have stress. Like, how can you do anything about that? Well, the way you handle stress, actually, I think has a lot to do with that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So
I think we all have a hard time with stress.
Yeah.
yeah, that's, again, when I have my carved out days, when I know in my week that I'm like, it's cool, I'll go out the next 2 nights, but I have to know that third night, and that actually really helps with my feeling calm, because I know that I'll have that reprieve, and I know that I can make it to then,
Just hang on.
Hang on.
Just hang on through this fun date.
Anyway, so I wanted to, this is, big news. Wanted to run through this really quickly, but I don't know how much you know about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I know it's in Cleveland.
And it's also a sham.
Okay.
Which is,
what does that mean?
That. So, I have a friend who I've talked to about this a lot. I won't mention any names, but he gets very worked up about this because it's always been kind of like almost like worse than the Grammys and worse than these award shows where it's like there's so many people who get snubbed that like are just absolute shoo-ins,
and it's all just kind of industry.
It's very industry. Yeah. It's very like U.S. focused, so a lot of these like British bands like the Smiths and Kate Bush and Roxy Music and stuff, like they have not been inducted into the Hall of Fame. So it's very people are very up in arms about this every year. It's very show busy, it's all about money. I mean, it's not really a huge surprise. But it's sort of funny because there's a whole hodgepodge of, inductees that are elected like over the years. It's like really random stuff. It's like, Green Day and Bill Withers, that was from 2015. And
well, I mean, I would argue both deserve to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
But like the variety of people, so Deep Purple, NWA, Linda Ronstadt and Kiss was in like 2014. It's almost comically, like it's funny to like
Never
see.
Really liked Kiss.
What about Linda Ronstadt?
Liked her.
No, I wasn't a big Kiss fan either. Anyway, I wanted to mention the inductees that I'm excited about for 2019 next year. The Cure is a huge one. I mean, it's kind of crazy that they have not been inducted. This has been a huge thing. Most people have been very shocked and dismayed that they are not already in there. Def Leppard, which I used to be a big fan. Janet Jackson, Stevie Nicks. She was already inducted in for Fleetwood Mac, so she's the first woman to become the first first-time Hall of Famer for two acts. Radiohead.
Really? Huh. That surprises me. Someone hasn't gone solo before as a female, and well, okay. Yeah. Cool. Good for you, Stevie.
Radiohead, Roxy Music, and the Zombies. And there's other nominees that are shocking where, like, Kraftwerk, for example, Rage Against the Machine, Shaka Khan. There's a lot of ones that were nominated that a lot of people are upset about. So
I also, I don't know, just to play devil's ad for a second. There are every single act or artist that you mentioned just now, I'm like, yeah, they deserve to be in there.
Sure.
Of course.
Sure.
But, if there's only so many places, it's like saying, there's so many good movies, like they're not all going to win Best Picture.
And it's so subjective too. I mean, you have like, there's, a big voting group. A lot of the people are people who were previously inducted. So yeah, I mean, music is subjective too.
Very much
I think
so.
It's like, again, it's like you could say the same thing about like the Oscars. You might have wanted one movie to win over another because it was your favorite, but it wasn't theirs. And so I mean, we can argue about this, until the cows come home. But anyway, I'm excited about The Cure. More than anything, and Radiohead. Radiohead, I think, is very just like, whatever.
Radiohead not being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is like, what is rock and roll even?
It's insane. It's crazy.
Calm
anyway,
down.
Well, that's my story of the day.
Well, I'm glad that The Cure, which I know is very near and dear to your heart more than ever, lately, will get their day in the sham sun, as it were. What isn't a sham is our community.
Is us.
And us.
We're just a sham.
We're a collective coolness. Obviously, look at us.
Wait, what is a shim sham?
I'm actually looking at my cat, Lucy, sitting on my...
What is she doing?
My kitchen counter. So not allowed, by the way. She's doing it because... She's doing it because she thinks that I am stuck over here and I won't let her stay there. And you know what? She is absolutely motherfucking get down.
Oh, the Shim Sham, aka the Shimmy, is, or just the Sham, is a particular tap dance routine and is regarded as tap dance's national anthem. I didn't know that. Because Shim Sham, I don't know, that term came to me.
Tap dance has a national anthem?
Shim Sham. I just like to say it. Say it, Shim Sham.
Rhymes with Tim Tam, which is a dessert that some people like.
Tim Tam?
Yeah, it's a Canadian, like a Kit Kat type of a thing. I don't know. I'm talking out of turn. I don't eat sweets, so I don't know. But yes, Tim Tams might be Australian. I don't know. It's something that isn't American.
Get it straight, Sarah.
I know. Well,
get real.
Yeah. I'm just so nationalistic, Heather, that I just don't know what kind of like desserts people eat outside of the U.S. You know how that goes. Anyway, Patreon. To go back to the original thought, that Patreon is, you're our crew. Everyone who supports us on Patreon, we could not do the show without you. We love you so much.
We really do.
Not only helping us monetarily, which is the whole idea behind growing the show and making it more of a community effort and making it more of topics that we all want to talk about. Heather and I, consider us your vessels.
Exactly. I mean, you know, you can email us and pitch ideas, and we do get a lot of ideas, and we talk about them on the show, but we're here for you. This show is not just for us, it's for you. And it is still a bit of a job for us. You know, this is work for us.
Yes.
You know, we put a lot of energy into this every week.
This is fun.
Of course.
But of course there's more that goes into it, as anybody who produces a podcast or has tried to.
And now that
knows.
Otis has chewed your production lights,
I will be putting him out on the street. So if anybody sees a big dog, then, take him in. No, I'm just kidding. We'll get through it. Yeah, but so thank you to everybody
so much.
Who supports us on Patreon. If you haven't looked through some of our goals and our milestones, patreon.com/havesuchagoodday is a great place to start. If you just want to, keep it simple, havesuchagoodday.com is our email. Is our website, which we have links to Patreon as well as lots of others. Get to know the show, maybe listen to some old episodes, have some fun, and if you think you might be able to.
Pony up $1 a month.
Pony up $1 a month, as little as $1 a month. That's all we humbly ask.
4 quarters.
And even if you can't do that, you know what you can do? Tell a friend.
Yeah.
Tell your mom.
Spread the word.
Tell your sister. Tell your niece. I don't know. You probably have a family member that would like the show. Exactly.
Yeah.
You want someone to have a good day? Well, then bring them to us, and we'll help them have such a good one. Hey, so Heather, this one is a little. I like to do a little tech check-in, right? Because the rest of the week,
That's your thing.
I report on a lot of tech news, and I thought that this one might be kind of fun for some folks. Now, it depends on where you live, right? Because the whole scooter phenomenon is either. Has made a scooter wasteland of your neighborhood, or you're never seen one. Don't even know what everyone's talking about. It's funny, where I used to live in Los Angeles, in Venice, which is a neighborhood out at the beach, not too far from the airport, scooters, and it's very sort of bike and skateboard friendly, and people are not driving a whole lot. It's beach town. The scooter situation was out of hand.
It's like that in West Hollywood too.
Yeah, and not even in a bad way. I mean, it became a way that people got around, particularly if you don't have a car, but you might want to get somewhere a little bit faster, or not, walk for 30 minutes or whatever, and quite affordable, and easy to use, and Bird scooters, Lime scooters. There are a variety of companies, Uber, for example, Lyft, who are, all getting into sort of the, so maybe you'd want to hail a car every once in a while, but maybe you want to also hail a scooter. This is a hot market. So Google Maps will now add a Lime option. Now, Lime is a brand of scooters that are in certain markets around the U.S., and I believe A few in the UK, and particularly concentrated on certain college campuses, where the college is big enough where like it actually is like getting from class to class makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah,
it would
no,
be
totally.
like a place where you'd ride a bike otherwise. Google Maps will now add an option for transit.
That makes sense.
And when you look up, like we're here at my house now. If I say, like, okay, I want to go to Heather's house, Google Maps will now say, oh, okay, well, are you driving? Are you walking? Do you want to take public transportation? Or would you like to take a scooter? And here's the cool part of it. It's not only, oh, this is how far, this is how long it would take for the scooter to go from point A to point B. It's also, and here's where the nearest scooter is.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the issue with a lot of, if you're in a concentrated area, well, they're like riddled on every corner. But if you're not, you're like, well, where's the nearest scooter? I don't know.
We have to open the app and then look at the map.
You open the app, but yes, which Google Maps actually will kick you into.
I think it's...
If you decide to say, like, yes, I want the scooter option, then you get redirected into Lime's official app, and then they take it from there. But it helps with the whole... I mean, I'm looking at stuff in Google Maps once a day at
like 20
minimum.
times a day.
Yeah, so
I'm like constantly on Google.
Yeah, so it's it's just kind of one of those,
I think
like,
it's great.
okay,
I mean,
you got yet one more transit option.
I think it's great. Because I'm always doing. I'm like that person that's like, how long is it going to take me at this time of day? It's hard to do in LA because they'll say 20 to 50 minutes, and you're like, well, that doesn't help me. But I don't know if they're going to be dropping some scooters on this side of town. I haven't seen any.
I see I see a few here and there, but yeah, it's not,
because it's more hilly, and I feel like it's not, like maybe that's why.
All the more reason that people would want them.
Yeah,
unless they're not good on hills. Hard to say.
Yeah, they go like 15 miles an hour or something.
Well, I think they top out.
I think they top out.
Yeah. Sometimes you get one that's like very laggy, where you're like, I'm definitely only going like 2 miles an hour, but still I'm just chilling and cruising. But yeah, we don't have a lot of scooters in this part of town.
I get excited about this new like subtle changes in technology. Today, me and a group of my friends who are on a group chat, we're trying to figure out how to add the sticker and Bitmojis. This is with the new OS, and so you can react to. So how now you can react to a text with a heart or a thumbs up or a haha. Right. Or exclamation point. Well, now you can drag and drop a baby little thumbnail of a Bitmoji on. It's kind of amusing. It's kind of a mess, but it's also like it's like chaotic, but like really fun. And so one of the people in my chat knew how to do it, and everyone else was freaking out because they couldn't figure it out, and it was a real bonding experience.
Well, isn't that nice, group chatters? More Bitmojis for all.
They're called Chat Olympics. If any of you are listening, hello.
Yes. Hello, ladies. I know some of you are supporters of the show, and
they are.
We appreciate it very much.
Very, very much so. Speaking of ladies and friends, you like the show Friends, don't you, Sarah?
Love the show
I knew
Friends.
you were a big fan. Like, do you feel like you like Friends? This is a tough question. You ready?
Yeah.
If you had to have one show only, would it be Friends or Seinfeld?
Seinfeld.
Yeah, I know, me too. See, that's how I feel.
Seinfeld is the funnier show.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Friends is more of a security blanket.
I know, exactly. See, yes, this is exactly what I was going to say, because it's been in the news. Have you seen the news about Friends?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, so a lot of people were very upset recently because Netflix announced that they were going to end. Right now, the whole show, all the seasons are streaming on Netflix.
Right.
They had teased out that they're going to end that on the 1st of the new year, on 1/1/19. So people, everyone was like, I hate you, Netflix. You're so mean. Like all these things. And Netflix was actually really clever writing them back.
Probably doesn't have anything to do with licensing agreements. It's because Netflix is mean.
No, like one girl said something like, she was just like, why would you do this? Would do something bad to me, Netflix? And Netflix like wrote back like, I would never do anything bad to you. Like it was cute the way they were kind of responding on Twitter.
Right.
But so they quickly, within I think 24 hours, they responded by. So let me just take you back to the beginning.
Okay.
They started at $30 million a year that they paid previously to stream the show. Okay.
Okay.
And then they were going to end it in the beginning of the year. Well, now they had responded to everybody's backlash. They're going to drop $100 million, $100 million to keep it going. I mean, that's just unbelievable. So basically, they're reversing their decision. Keep the show streaming through 2019, so the end of the year. So that's only 1 year. You know, it's not like 10 years. You know, so now, like, I think that a lot of the internet is probably very happy. But it's funny, it made me think about the show, and it's like, you know, it is probably one of the most popular TV shows in history. And I was thinking, like, why is it so good? And you already said it. You know, the show does feel like it's a friend itself. Like, that you know these people, and every time you turn on an episode, you feel like you have this sense of, you know, comfort and belonging with these people that you don't really know. But
right. I mean, we were talking about stuff that's corny.
Yeah.
Friends is corny. Mm-hmm. That's a very corny show. Certain episodes more than others.
They pull it off.
But yeah, it's but in a lovable way.
Sure.
And I think that, and there are, you know, it's funny, especially because when it became available on Netflix, certain friends friends of mine that hadn't watched it when it was, you know, in its first run at 8 p.m. on Thursdays on, you know, NBC must-see TV, they were like, wow, you know, there's some jokes that are a little homophobic, turns out.
It's a very white show, too.
Well, the show is dated.
It's very dated.
In a way where you're like, you know, there are certain things that just, it wouldn't fly anymore.
Nope.
And that's...
Which is so interesting.
Right, and you get that with a lot of comedy series, obviously. But Friends was such a social phenomenon that I'm very fond of it. And I don't know if I've ever mentioned it on this show before, but when I was traveling in my extended travel, there was a town in Laos called Vang Vieng, and if you've been there, you know what I'm about to say. It's in the middle of nowhere, to say the least. But it's a town that a lot of backpackers go through because there's a river, and you kind of like you know there's this whole thing where you like get into the river and just sort of like float downstream for the day. It's a really like beautiful part of the world and very outdoorsy. Mm-hmm. Well, and you know, besides that, the town is quite humble and there's not much to it. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of kind of restaurant, you know, it's kind of, you know, I don't know, shacks that are all outdoors, and they have Friends playing on repeat.
It's insane.
And I'm not talking about like the one restaurant in town. There are more than that. There are 10, and they all play Friends on repeat.
That's creepy.
And it
Especially
is kind of creepy.
Like,
it is kind of creepy, but at the same time, and again, by the time that I got to this particular town, I had been on the road for a while, so who knows? Mm-hmm. Maybe I'd feel differently if it was like the first place that I was going on like a year abroad, but it was so comforting.
Oh, I bet.
You just had all these backpackers just like eating our soup and just watching Friends for like 9 hours.
That's so funny.
We stayed there for a few days and we're like, this is the most bizarre thing in the entire world and also really fun. Wonderful. Yeah, like, and it was all kind of like VHS tapes, you know, so like, you know, a tape would end, you know, and like eventually like we'd all kind of be like, hello, you know, it's like season 3, episode 7
it's
time.
like total like
like more Friends, please, more Friends. So anyway,
it's like a drug addiction. Seriously, that's so funny. Anyway, that's man, just the money that's being spent for content right now is quite shocking. Anyway, speaking of paying for content, $1 a month. We're making lots of residuals on the show.
You know what isn't shocking? What we need to keep our show afloat.
Yeah, that's true.
Very little.
It would be more than what we are pulling in currently, but not. It wouldn't even be like shocking how much we would need to just sort of, you know, get through the week.
Right.
I mean, it would
all
be
I
nice
want is a little soup. Yeah. Okay.
Actually, that sounds really good. I'm quite hungry right now.
Oh my god, soup is just soup's my new thing.
It's always been my favorite thing.
I used to feel like, I'm like, you can't chew it. Soup.
You put
but
stuff in it that you can chew.
yeah, I'm all in on soup these days.
I made an incredible bowl of soup today.
And it's also hydrating.
Oh yeah.
So it's like it's food but also water.
It's wonderful.
It's the only way to live.
You gotta have miso in your refrigerator at all times.
I suppose so.
It's super helpful. Anyway, wanted to do a quick little mention. If you guys aren't aware, we are on iTunes as an audio podcast, and we're on pretty much every other app. If there's something that if you're looking for us on a certain app and you don't see us, please let us know. And please email us early and often, as Sarah would say, hi@havesuchagooday.com.
Very true. Listen to Heather. Send us feedback, and thank you in advance for helping us make the best show that we can make, so that we make your lives a little bit better
every week.
And you have such a good day, because that's what we strive for. We know it's a challenge. Because life is hard, man.
Gotta take out those garbage cans every Tuesday.
Take out the trash.
It was running over my feet. Man, it's rough.
It's funny.
I hope no one ever sees me do that, because I really struggle.
I don't have to do that, thankfully. A nice older gentleman who lives on my property,
very jealous,
is our trash sensei. But it's funny. When you said that, taking out the trash, it reminds me of someone that we used to work with. I won't call you out, but they used to be like, when they were mad at somebody, time to take out the trash.
That's hilarious.
You know, and I would always be like, I know who you're talking about. You know,
that's pretty funny.
And
I love it when like someone has like that one like signature like expression that they say all the time.
Yes, it was a signature expression for sure.
I think mine is I wouldn't kick him out of bed for eating crackers.
Right, and I've asked you in the past where I'm like, would you kick them out of bed for eating other things, or is it just crackers?
I think
I'm picking apart the term of endearment too much.
I don't mind other things. I think crackers are just very sharp, and if you roll over onto a crumb, it can like hurt your butt.
I have eaten crackers in bed for sure in the past.
Be kicking you out then.
But I also, we won't belabor this point too much, but this was also in the day where I used to have a TV in my bedroom, and we've talked about this recently.
2 decades.
I haven't had a TV in my bedroom for a long time, and I don't really want one, even though sometimes it's like, well, it would be nice to like lay in bed and watch a movie, but my couch is comfortable enough. But without a TV, I'm not eating in bed. I'm just not going to.
No.
Like, there are no crackers in my bed. I will kick you out of bed for eating crackers, because crackers are not allowed in my bed, period.
No, totally. And it's like, yeah, you just inevitably spill. I mean, I feel like they're like, it's like a feng shui thing. Like, just don't eat in bed. Like, bed is for sleeping and other activities.
Feet should not be pointing at the door, and don't eat crackers in bed.
Oh, is that true? The feet shouldn't be pointing the door?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. Well, wait, does it have to be, you mean you're talking about aligned with the door? What if it's against a back wall?
I know what you're talking about, because I know what your bedroom looks like right now.
Am I okay?
You're okay.
I don't know
it's not, I mean, it's acceptable, but it's somewhat frowned upon.
Oh, no. That's not good.
Your feet should be pointed at your closet rather than the front door, because it's like it's a flow thing.
They built it wrong then.
Well, but that's their fault. Whatever.
Okay, well, I'm not going to get the bad mojo then.
No.
All right. Let's put a fork in this one. We got a bonus topic to get to.
We're done, except for the bonus topic, folks.
Stick around.
There's more to come for everybody else. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I'm Sarah.
So I'm Heather.
And we'll see you next week.
Have such a good day.
$5 ballas. You know what time it is. Time for us to
bonus topic.
Time to talk about your bonus topic. We're thrilled.
We are.
Thanks for being here. This is secretly Heather and I's favorite part of the show, because we feel like
so
it's like for like the folks that we know a lot of you. We interact with you a little bit more, and not that we don't with folks that aren't on this tier, but particularly you folks, we value very much, and thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's an intimate few minutes that we have. It's very special to us. So Thank you for being here. Today's topic is what 3 books were life-changing for you?
Ooh.
Do you want to kick us off, Sarah, or you want me to start?
I mean, I think I know what mine are, but I will let you get started.
All right.
As I look at my bookcase behind us and kind of go like, which ones? Because this is it's hard to narrow it down to just 3.
I am telling you, it is. And I should have looked at my bookshelf because I honestly have all of my favorite books are on like the top shelf, and I have them all in the same, just because I like to look at them and it reminds me of how they affected me as a person. And it's funny, this is a tough one. I know that I have a lot of favorite books, so I'm just going to have to narrow it down. But I would have to say my top favorite book of all time is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. And if you haven't read it,
it has nothing to do with the fact that your last name is Frank.
No, it has nothing.
It just kind of worked out nicely.
Well,
that way.
It's funny because I was just telling some of our Discorders that we were talking about names.
Right.
One of our Discorders, his name was Mickey, and he was saying that I told him I love the name.
Oh,
Mickey,
like Mickey Mouse.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he said
Mickey is a very cool name.
But he said that he got into this whole conversation about, but people used to make fun of me. And I said, well, people used to call me Frankenstein or Frankfurter. So no,
sure.
Definitely not. It's a total coincidence. And part of the reason why I always do this with anything, with movies, with books, with the stuff that I love, with artists, I always look behind the scenes. I want to know what the author's like. Like, what was their life like? Like, why did they write this? Because it fascinates me that people can come up with this narrative that doesn't exist. Like, this is something that's just like it's the purest creative thought. Yeah. And Frankenstein isn't exactly what a lot of people think it is if they haven't read it. It's not like, oh, it's a monster story. It is so much more than that. And it reads much more than that. It's more about this man creates this man, and there's so much guilt and pain that it brings him. He thought he was doing a good thing, and it's so reflective of life, and it's a very existential, and you feel so much sympathy for this monster in this world, and he's lonely, and he's such a freak, and
doesn't this sound so sad?
It's
though?
So sad. It's so sad.
I know who Frankenstein is, but I have not read the book.
It's so short too. It's like it's a totally doable in a weekend. I'm telling you, it is not exactly what you think it is. It's and the visuals of it are so wonderful. And Mary Shelley wrote it when she was like 18, which is just mind-blowing to me because it's just such a beautiful book. It's so poetic. And she was just a very brilliant young person. And I guess she used to hang out with her family and tell ghost stories. Like, there was a bit of a gothic thing going on in her family because this is considered gothic literature, which I tend to really like. So that affected me a lot as a young person because I related a lot to like this person is, we're all on our own in this world. And if we strip it all down like we are, and I related to that, like Frankenstein is this very unique creature. We're all very unique, and we have to find our way. We have to trudge through the snow and find our meaning. I would have to say The Little Prince, which is actually a French book, Le Petit Prince is the name in French, and I've read it both in French and English. I read it the first time, I think, in French class, in French, and then I read it in English. I mean, it's one of my favorite books of all time. And, it takes place in space, and it's this little man who's kind of traveling the world and trying to find meaning. It's funny, it's actually sort of a similar meaning in a lot of ways. In fact, I'm starting to see some similarities between all 3 of my favorite books. My third one, I would have to say, is The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami.
In fact, I seem to recall some of your online profiles being Wind-Up Bird.
It's so true.
Back in the day.
Yeah, I think my old eBay. Where did you see that? That's so funny. It's really old.
I don't know.
It was Wind-Up. I think my first eBay account was like Wind-Up Bird something.
Apparently, I was trying to buy some of your shit.
You were. I mean, honestly, I know that I'm going to go home and kick myself and go, oh, you forgot about that book. But these are really good picks. I'm pleased with them. Wind-Up Bird Chronicle just rocked my world. If you have not read anything by Murakami, I would say I've read a bunch of his stuff. I think that's one of my favorite. That's like my favorite out of what I've read of his. Again, about a man kind of trying to find his way in the world. It's very spiritual and And they're wonderful. I think about them all the time. What about you?
Okay, so I found this was a difficult exercise, but in the spirit of the show, and us answering questions, I'll do my best. The first one is super obvious. It's Hunter S. Thompson, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Great one.
One of the best books ever written. It's not for everybody. I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever read. Didn't actually like the movie when it was made, which was with Johnny Depp, who's like one of my favorite actors of all time. It did not work, in my opinion. The book itself is, and I've read a lot of Mr. Thompson's stuff, and it's very ranty and a little insane, but very funny.
Yeah.
And I was, when I said I was looking, I see it right down there. My dad, back in the day, gave me like his old sort of like almost falling apart paperback version of the book, and he was like, you should read this. Let me know what you think. And I was probably, I don't know, in high school or something at the time, and I just thought it was like, I mean, it's grown-up stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And I just thought it was the funniest thing, and it was just one of these things where I'm like, he knew I would like this book. I've read that book, that specific version of the book, by the way. Like, that's the only one that I'll read, that specific paperback, 100 million times.
I don't know if I knew this about you. This is a new thing.
It's my favorite book. It's so funny. And I don't know, maybe you have to be in the right mood, whatever. Or maybe it was just sort of, a family thing.
Yeah.
But that's
great.
That's definitely. I would also say, and this is certainly very different, Shogun.
Oh, yeah,
which is James
I know
Clavell, which was written, I believe, in 1975, so slightly before.
I remember my mom was reading it, like when I was a kid or something.
Bestseller.
Yeah.
Back in the day, is a real magna opus.
That's good stuff.
And
it's like The Clan of the Cave Bear, which is also a great book.
Yeah.
Oh,
just where you're truly transformed to a time and a place.
Oh my gosh, I love reading.
And a life and all of that. It's really good. And wartime and just so much stuff happens. I mean, and it's a very big, like, it's a long book. It's going to take you a while. You want to go on vacation, sit on a beach for a week?
I love those thick
bring
ones.
Shogun
I'm
with
just
you.
Like, bring it on. Like, it's so challenging. Like, Atlas Shrugged was like that big. And,
right.
Man, I just ate through that book.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like thousands of pages, or maybe like 1,000, but
and
I'm exaggerating.
The third book that and this one was really hard because it's like there are a lot of books where I'm like, oh, loved that
too.
book.
It's really hard to narrow
loved
down.
that story. Oh, but one that I was so touched by, and it's actually really sad, is Atonement.
Oh yeah, that is a great book.
It is. Yeah, Heather's choking up already.
That's so strange.
It actually was also, and this is rare with me when I love a book so much, a movie just won't work.
Oh yeah, totally.
The actors are miscast. They say different things.
Because you're extra critical too.
Yeah, exactly. You just sort of hate it.
Yeah.
But Ian McEwan, who's a beloved author, wrote this book. So it is a movie. You may have seen the movie. You may have read the book. You may have done both. I happened to read the book first, and I saw the movie afterwards, and I was like, you know what? They actually did a pretty good job. But it is really it's a very odd plot. Mm-hmm. And because I don't want to give it away, I don't know. I mean, spoilers. This book is 20 years old at this point, but it is a family tragedy, mm-hmm. But also very clever, mm-hmm. and you're just sort of like, how did you even think of this book? That's the thing.
It's just the most fascinating. For me, like writers of fiction, oh my God, I find that to be the sexiest thing ever.
Probably.
I mean, I don't even care what you look like.
Yeah,
right?
you're all the best. Screw you, Hollywood. We're back into books.
So before we wrap up, we want to try another Dear Heather and Sarah. We're curious as to what you guys think about this potential segment. please email us at hi@havesuchagoodday.com, or there's a bunch of ways you can get a hold of us. But we'd really love to know how you feel. We did get one email from he goes by DJC Posts. His name is Chris. He's one of our
hello, Chris.
Yeah, he's definitely one of our regulars. We talk to him a lot on Discord, and he's very communicative, and we really love having him on the, in the community. So he had a couple questions. We can only tackle one this week, but online dating. Dating over 40 in general simply stinks. The word sapiosexuality has become a buzzword in online dating recently, and he wants to hear our insight, maybe even some advice for both females and males trying to find someone, the right one, now that we have a longer life experience to go on.
So, for anybody who's not familiar with sapiosexual, as I understand it, it means being attracted to intelligence. And this is something where
it's like arousing.
And right, yeah. And Chris, I feel your pain, or at least the fact that you're bringing it up, because this is something that you see in lots of dating bios.
Yeah. Men
and women. Well, I don't know. I'm not looking for women, but a lot of men do say this, and I think
I've seen it, yeah.
I think it's well-meaning.
Sure.
Meaning I'm not just some looking for just like a easy good time and superficial stuff. Like, I'm really attracted to intelligence. Yet I find it patronizing.
It is a little bit.
Because I don't know, like, do you really have to say that you're attracted to somebody being smarter than not? Like, and why is that a term?
Because that's the first thing I look for is
it's
smarts.
implied.
I mean, yeah, it is implied.
Yeah,
sure.
and I'm sapiosexual. Oh, really? What are the rest of us?
Yeah, we're just like, we're just groveling for like a
we're just
nose.
Yeah,
I mean, what?
Exactly. It just there's something about just certain bio triggers
that
so
funny.
That really get to me, and we can go into that in much more detail at a later time.
I gotta start writing some notes, because there are some good ones. It's very it's a very comical, like, just
yeah. I also find that and not to I'm definitely not like bashing anybody in particular. Of course, I wouldn't do that because I respect everybody's privacy. But like, there's also sapiosexual. Got it. You like intelligence. Cool. Good to know. I'll try to be as smart as possible when I meet you. But there's also the bio where it's the guy, and again, I'm only really looking at guy bios, so I'm sure women do weird stuff too, but it's the bio where the guy is like, lists all the things that you shouldn't be. Please don't wear too much makeup.
Oh, yeah.
Please be fit. Meaning, don't be fat. That's what it means.
Please don't take antidepressants.
Yeah. I mean, what?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Please don't take antidepressants so that you can be more depressed?
Someone who's on antidepressants
means you're damaged type thing?
Maybe.
Oh my God. Yeah. Or yes, it's or things like, if you don't like veganism, need not apply. Where you're like, well, what? Like, is that
I eat vegetables?
Right. Like, I mean, I'm not, but it's not even really what it is. It's more of the fact that someone's like, let me weed you out before we've even matched with each other, and it ends up making someone sound so negative.
It does. I agree.
Like, why don't you tell me what you do like?
And of course, it would be hard to deal with depression, but it's like also, you don't want to like be. It's so so like, I don't know, like presumptuous or something.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody said please don't take antidepressants in a bio, I would swipe left on them just out of I don't know.
Rage.
Well, just like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like saying, oh, if you're in therapy, don't date me. I'm way too good for that. Like, excuse you. Like, everyone's doing their best.
I think that one thing I was going to say about, it is tough, being back out there and you get older and you have to deal with, the coldness of the dating world. But, I think one thing that might be a good exercise, I don't know if you guys, Chris, or any of you out there, have had a good friend or relative look at your profile and maybe give you a perspective. Because I think I think it's hard for people to write about themselves. And I think sometimes maybe one will describe themselves in a way that isn't exactly right or something.
Sure. Or maybe the sarcastic sentence that you think is funny, someone's like, you know what?
Yeah, I found that offensive or whatever.
Yeah,
and I think getting a second
right.
opinion about your profile, whether you've said too much, said too little, maybe get a little second opinion about your photographs. Because I know, I mean, a lot of men in particular, I think they don't pay as much of attention to photographs as women do. Women are a little more, I want to make sure I look good and everything. I've noticed a lot of guys, take these photographs like under their noses and under their chins. And it's, I think those are some pretty easy things to make you feel a little more confident in these apps. Also, don't discount possibly meeting somebody in the produce aisle at Trader Joe's, I always say. I mean, you just never know who you might meet in the real world, and keep your eyes peeled, because that's the kind of thing that you kind of have to be in the moment to even recognize that maybe there is somebody that you might run into on the street. And I think if you're so, I think it's good to augment the two. You need to make sure that there is an opportunity to meet people IRL.
I very much agree with you, Heather. And, kind of coming full circle from what we were talking about at the top of the show, and just kind of being like really busy and having to be like, okay, well, on Wednesdays I go out, on Thursdays I definitely stay in, on Fridays.
Yeah.
Dating, at least for me, that all has to fit in there somewhere, and it can feel like very much a chore.
Yeah.
And something that you're trying to do because you're supposed to do it. You're not supposed to give up and just stop trying, but it's time consuming. Often it's, fruitless, or, it's not what you expected. There's some disappointment, and you have to slot that into your life.
You do.
And that's okay if you want to do that. But like you were saying, the serendipitous nature of meeting new people is still there.
Oh, yeah.
Even though we have all these tools to do it in a more systematic way, it's like, that is not the only way that this works.
Yeah.
It's just another way that this works.
Yeah, and also there's some profiles where people are super sincere, like, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z, and then other people are a little more like, they might have like a shorter bio, and they're, so you have to figure out like what is best for you. I mean, if you really know what you want, and you're not interested, you are interested in a serious relationship, you're interested in, a real, like, a real person who is not playing any games, blah, blah, blah. I mean, maybe that's something you should state in your bio, that, like, so you can weed people out who might not be looking for something more serious.
Right.
Yeah. I think
and vice versa.
Yeah.
Vice versa.
Absolutely. Like, if you're onto a more casual tip, then
we all have things that we want and don't want, and it's like, there are definitely certain bios where I'm like, you know what, you sound like a fun guy, just not for me.
Yeah, exactly.
And thanks for being upfront, so that we didn't have to go to coffee a couple times for me to find this out.
Exactly. I think it is important to be somewhat honest, especially if you have a particular goal. If you're just on there for fun, you want to meet people, it doesn't matter so much. But if you really are getting frustrated and you have a very specific goal in mind, make sure you're being specific and fill out the whole profile. Like, there's a lot of people who don't fill out, like, it's important to know what religion you are. That's sometimes a deal breaker. Sometimes it's important to know about your political preferences. That can be a deal breaker. So
that too.
I think that, people need to fill that stuff out.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've said it all, Sarah.
There's nothing else to say. Truly,
I'm gonna go home and read and eat some soup.
We've covered soup, dating, lots of books. How to ghost appropriately at a holiday party for the show Friends, real friends,
We've gone around the whole globe.
And everything in between. But thanks everybody for being with us this entire time. Y'all the best. If you can do us any favor over this wonderful holiday season, because we're getting closer to Christmas if you celebrate, but the holidays in general, every day. Please do, let somebody that you care about know that our show exists, and hopefully they'll like it as well.
Yeah.
And we'd love to have them.
we feel so much better now. We've gone through an hour of talking to you, and you know what? It's very therapeutic.
It really is. So have such a good day, everyone.
Thank you so much for listening.
And I'm Sarah.
I'm Heather.
Still, after all these years. See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.